Leon Edwards is ready to prove everyone he's still the best welterweight in the UFC. And days before his London headliner against Sean Brady, the former champ talks about coming back after losing the title, the Brady matchup, and future plans. His loss to Belal Muhammad came as a shock to many in the community, as not only everyone remembered their brief first fight, which looked pretty one-sided before it was stopped as a result of an eye poke, but even if we didn't count that as anything, most thought Leon's technical style and physicality would be too much for Belal. But the Brit managed to lose his title with an underwhelming performance, and situation changed at the top of the division. In his first fight since that loss, Rocky will face Sean Brady, whose last loss also came at the hands of Muhammad. In his latest media appearance, Edwards discussed how he sees the matchup with Brady, said he's bothered by Belal being a champion, and vowed to go on a run that would make his case for being the best welterweight ever.
I truly believe that I was going to win the fight, and but like I said, there's no excuses. Like I said, I'm a worse day. He won one round over me to get a decision, and that's it. I'm no longer focused on that fight, and I'll get it back for sure.
When you see him with the belt now, what do you feel?
Every time I see him on Twitter, I have like, fuck's sake, like why? Because he said to me, if he lost, he would have retired. I was like, oh mate, I wish this guy fucking retired because he's annoying. It's like it doesn't look right on him the belt. You know what I mean? It just look like well, like I said, it is what it is. Buckley said he wouldn't make weight, so then it was down to Sean.
Okay, so Sean, very different fighter than JDM. What was your feeling when it became him?
He's a short boxing, wrestling kind of guy. Just something I'm used to, right? And I feel like it gave me a chance to go out there and prove to the world that I am who I am, and I'll go out there and prove it to the world. I am the best welterweight of all time, and he's just never got my way.
Bisping and Felder react to Paddy Pimblett saying he ran into Colby Covington, who wouldn't even make eye contact with him and kept looking down until they were past each other. Pimblett wasn't really surprised, but wanted to share what happened during the spontaneous meeting at the UFCPI. This certainly isn't the first time we've heard about the contrast between the manner in which Covington expresses himself online versus face-to-face in real life. He's had numerous interactions with fighters from different divisions that were targeted at some point or another by Covington's online trash talk, and in almost all cases, there is no aggression or any other kind of attempt to provoke them, but quite the contrary. So the fact that most of his persona that made him somewhat popular in the first place is a fabricated character hasn't been difficult to understand for a long time now, but nowadays, he seems not to be willing to play the same role all the time. Michael Bisping and Paul Felder share their thoughts on this.
If someone's bullying you, you've got to stand up to them, because the reality is they don't want to have to roll around the floor with you and actually get into a fight. Yeah. And if you prove you're not that guy and you're not going to tolerate it, they'll leave you alone. If Colby or anyone's living their life like that, anytime they see anyone at the PI, at the Apex, you're going to be starting trouble. You're not going to get invited. You're not going to get tickets. People aren't going to want you around because you're just drama. And everywhere you go, drama and chaos follows you. So it's just a goddamn persona. So I'm not surprised that Paddy Pimblett says that. And of course, from Paddy, he's gonna evaluate that and speculate what it means to him in his own mind. Oh, he looked at the floor. He didn't say anything. Oh, he's a piece of shit. He's scared of me. I don't think that's the case at all. He's like, I haven't got beef with Paddy. I'm not going to talk shit for the sake of it.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're right. And that's the problem with, again, now it's towards the end of that. And man, it's just got to be, it's got to be a rough way.
Dana White is making the attempt to bring Khabib back to the UFC for one more fight, and this time he's going all the way in with the offer. Joined by the president and Saudi sheikhs, the UFC boss offered Nurmagomedov $150 million for one fight. Dana, joining forces with Sheikh Turki, who has taken the world of boxing by storm, has already made a lot of noise in the combat sports world. He's been getting more involved with MMA as well, and might be one of the central figures in the recent report by one of the leading sports media channels in Russia. According to MMA Inquirer, Khabib's team just received an offer up to $150 million for one comeback fight. His manager, Rizvan Magomedov, and a Team Khabib spokesperson confirmed this development. Dana reportedly gladly agreed to the idea from Saudi sheikhs, who are willing to finance this under the banner of UFC, and the Sheikh Turki is rumored to be involved with this closely. The MMA Inquirer also reported that Khabib's team told them about Trump's involvement in the negotiations. Here's a translated version of the original report.
Хаба получает щедрые, я даже скажу, очень щедрые предложения от арабских шейхов, которые готовы напечатать хоть миллиарды долларов, лишь бы вернуть Хабиба в октагон. Некоторые фанаты Хабиба не приняли еще такую реальность, что они не увидят Орла снова в бою. Почти каждый день мы получаем сумасшедшие предложения, особенно из Арабских Эмиратов. Арабские шейхи — это самые безумные фанаты Орла. Они готовы платить баснословные деньги, и поверьте, Дейна Уайт только на их стороне. Очень влиятельные люди из Абу-Даби готовы заплатить Хабибу 150 миллионов долларов за его возвращение. Вопрос денег для них не стоит. Они готовы платить сколько угодно, чтобы увидеть противостояние Хабиба с новым чемпионом. Дональд Трамп высказался про Хабиба Нурмагомедова и признал нашего Хабиба лучшим бойцом во всем мире. Все дело в том, что недавно состоялась встреча Даны Уайта и Дональда Трампа. Скоро в Америке будут выборы президента. И вот Дональд Трамп перед избирателями заявил: будет невероятный бой. Мы все будем обязательно это смотреть. Самого лучшего бойца в мире, вне зависимости от веса. Я точно буду смотреть. Можете мне верить. Это будет очень громкий бой, заявил Дональд Трамп.
Kenny Florian predicts Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg. For a fighter whose last 5 fights include a victory over Israel Adesanya when Izzy was in his prime, a win over Alexander Rakic, a draw with Magomed Ankalaev, and a very closely contested loss against Alex Pereira, being an underdog against someone like Carlos Ulberg, who hasn't fought anybody on his level, is a bit odd, even if we consider the age gap between the two. But the bookmakers are relying on recent activity in this case, and Jan being out of competition for a long time due to a serious injury is certainly not a positive factor for people who like his chances this weekend. He's also 42, but the difference in experience and level of competition can become the most important variable of this fight. He wants to beat Ulberg, then beat Ankalaev for the belt, and ride off into the sunset after defending it against Alex Pereira. That's his perfect scenario. We'll find out if he succeeds on that first step of his plan on Saturday. Kenny Florian likes his chances.
While Blachowicz is 42 years old, you can't compare the resume. I mean, let's look at the last 4 fights for each guy. And obviously, Ulberg 4-0, faced Oezdemir, Menefield, Young, Potieria. And then for Blachowicz, Pereira, Ankalaev, Rakic, Teixeira. And even those couple of those losses, super close fights. I mean, the one against Ankalaev, which was a draw. Who's the champ right now? Ankalaev. And, it'd be one thing if I was like looking at Blachowicz, who really doesn't stay active, but he does. And I think we're going to finally see him healthy here. Just had double shoulder surgery. And while you're like, Kenny, you're crazy, that's a lot of, wear and tear on the body right there. But I actually think we're going to see him healthy. I think he's been fighting with those injuries for a long time. I think he's going to come in here fresh. I think he's had the time to figure out whether he wants to continue doing this or not. He does. He's coming back. And I think we're going to see him in fine form. And I like him for the upset win here.